Okay, hi everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining today's class. Hope you all have a nice week. I'm sorry that we are having it now. It was earlier scheduled to be 10, but it's fine now. So trust you are doing well. This week you have been, I can see that most of you have been asking of tasks. That means you are used to having tasks. Well, it's a good feedback so that we know that we are not to allow you to rest. So we are, at least you have the tasks that you should be doing, which I believe also, but you already have enough tasks next week coming up. So, but we just need to talk about the introduction so that you have a solid background before we proceed to JavaScript. That was on Monday, we were discussing about declaration of variable when network threw me out. Once again, let me put everyone, if you can hear me, please let me know in the chat box that you can hear me. I'm seeing myself live there, so I think everyone also should be able to hear me. So if you can hear me, let me know. I will be going through the comments section. I believe we don't really have questions this week. Yeah, I believe we don't have questions this week. So if you have questions, you can always ask, actually. So I think I don't really have questions on inside in the chat box, so I can just proceed. So we were discussing about variable declaration last week, and before the network threw us out. So I will go back to it. I was using replit. So this is my replit. Now, if I could remember clearly, the last question someone asked was that what was the difference, or what was the difference between let and var. We're going over everything we talk about variable declaration again today, so that okay, thank you everyone. So that those that were not in the class can also follow us. Now, I'll bring a scenario for what we mean by variable declaration. You know that now we have, sorry, I don't know, we are not talking about politics here. I'm just really trying to bring something important out of it. Now, we now have many aspirants, presidential aspirants. We have Atiku, Peter Obi, we have them. Now, how do we know that before they declare, or how do we know that they are presidential aspirants? Because they have declared their intention. And how do they do that? By what? By their parties submitting their name. So the first thing that they declare, like now, I'm not a presidential candidate because nobody submitted my name, and I did not tell anyone that I will be a candidate. So that is how it comes. So declaration comes first. Before we know that they are presidential aspirants, what they have to declare. So that's what I'm saying. Now, for you to be able to use a variable, you have to declare it. Now, how do we declare a variable? Okay, Adekoke Anoluwapo, do you need a task? Actually, I can discuss with the coordinator. We still have, today is Wednesday. We have something we have been doing now. I can decide that we will have a task that you're going to submit. Just let me know. I'm throwing this to you, Adekoke Anoluwapo. Do we need a task so that I can easily prepare a task for you? We already have enough tasks next week. We already have enough tasks, if it's not up to 3 or 4 self. But if you need a task, yeah, Adegoke Anoluwapo, I'm saying this categorically to you. I want you to be the other people's voice. Do you need a task before Sunday so that we can give you a task? Then you'll be expected to submit Saturday or Sunday. So I'm waiting for your response. Yeah, so that's fine. So now, what I was saying that we have to declare a variable before we're able to use it. And how do we declare a variable? In JavaScript, before 2015, we only have one way of declaring variable. We only have one way of declaring variable. That's what we mean by var. When I say, okay, I said I prefer to use my console because it's easier. So I'll be using my console to be easier. So now the way of declaring variable is what? Is by using var. That's before 2015. So when I say var task is equals to assignment. So now, though I just only want Adegoke to decide this one. So now I've declared this variable now. So now what computer is that it allocates a space in the memory to store this. So anytime I say task, it will bring the assigned value. So when I say task, it will be the, if I say console, because we're already in console, so there's no need to say console.log task. You can see now it's giving us assignments. So that's how we declare variable before 2015. And I would also like to bring my W3 school so it's easier. And you can always go over it with that. Okay, I'll wait until next week. All right, thank you. So you could have decided for a lot of people. So, but so now, okay, so let's wait till next week then. You already have enough tasks. So now, so we declare a variable with var. As I've said earlier, we have been using var before 2015. So now, but after 2015, that is ES5. We call it ES5. I want to see where it was being discussed there. After that, okay. After that, we now have two other ways of declaring variable. Now we have let and const. There are several differences between let and const, which I'm going to talk about some. Now, in my last class, I think I told you that when I declare a variable here, I say variable task, I assign it to be equal to assignment. I can come here and say var task again. Instead of it to be assignment, let it be homework. Now, if I now say task now, it's no longer assignment, it's now homework. Now, that means we can declare a variable. When you declare a variable using var, we can declare it. For example, now, let's say my class rep, let's say var my class rep equals var my class rep equals Isiaka. I hope I get it. Miriam. So this now I've declared Isiaka as my class rep. Now maybe Isiaka is she's absent, and I need to assign that class rep duty to another person. Then I can come here again and say var, because it is var. I can say my class rep equals Yusuf Ali. Now, if I want to search my class rep now, it will no longer be. If I search did I make okay, one is capital L. I know. Okay, sorry. If I say var my class, okay, my class rep should be Yusuf Ali. So now, when I want to console log my class rep now, instead of it to be, since I've declared it to be Yusuf Ali, so it is the last declaration that's going to follow. So now my class rep is now what? Yusuf Ali. So now when you declare a variable with var and you assign it to a value, you can always declare it. You can say var my name is Isiaka, my country is var my country is Nigeria. Maybe when you Japa, you now say var my country is South Africa. So with var, you can be able to declare any variable. I hope I'm communicating. Oh, thank you. So so now that's how var works. You can always declare the variable, and that will take us to the so I want us to be following this tutorial so that you can always come back to it. You can see the same var has been used since 1995, since we have JavaScript to 2015. It has its own side effects or limitation. That's why we now bring in const and let. Now, when do we use let? Now, let is also like now. Okay, before I go to that place. Now, when you say let my car, now I have declared it now. My car now is existent inside the memory of the computer. Now, if I come here and say my car now, my car now is going to tell me it's what? Undefined. So when you declare a variable with var, it is initialized. That means initialized. That means equal to. This is what happens when it is what? It is initialized to undefined. When I say var, let me say my state like this. Now, what happens is that it has been initialized to what? Undefined. So if I say my state now, it's going to give me what? Undefined. So anytime you use var, it is going to what? Initialize to undefined. So now the same thing happens to let. So if you use let also, let my best friend. So these are the similitude between var and let, my best friend. So now, if I say my best friend, now it's going to be what? Undefined. So in essence, what we are saying is that when you define them or when you declare them, they are both var and let are being initialized to what? Undefined, but you can give them anything you want. Now, the major difference between a var and let, okay, one of the difference, not the major, but one of the major difference, let me put it like that. One of the major difference between a var and let is that you can never declare a var, a let variable. For example, let's say let my school to be equals to footer. Now, I've declared my school and I've assigned it to the word footer. I cannot come here again. So this one doesn't do it. I cannot come back here and say let my school should be funab. This is not going to be what? It's not going to be possible. You can see now it said syntax error, the declaration of let my school. So now you can never redeclare a let variable. Now the reason why is that this is it. You cannot use let again. You cannot use let. You can never redeclare a what? A variable that's been declared with let. You can never redeclare it. The only thing you can do is you can reassign. I can say if I come here and say my school now, this now will come reassign. This is not because I'm not putting let. I'm not declaring it again. I cannot say my school should be now. So this one works now. So when I want to say my school now is going to be now instead of footer now. So I hope that is clear. Oh, that's me. I'm in Kano right now, so that's fine. Chimere. Okay. I hope I will chat one day and you'll be able to tell me the pronunciation of your name. So I hope that is clear about the difference between a var and let. You can never declare a var variable, but you can reassign. I can come here again and say my school year should be, what do you call this? Unilag. They are always possible. You can reassign it, but you can never declare it. And the reason is that you declare, when you want to declare, you have to use let, var, and const, but you can never declare anything you have been used with var. So you can see now, variable declared with let can never be what? Can never be declared. Variable defined with let must be declared before use. Now, okay. Now, when we are talking about var, you can come here now. Okay. You can come here. For example, now let's say my hero. Let's say I can say my hero here is my hero here is Obasanjo. Now I can come here now and I say for my hero. Now this will also work as expected. You can see now that I'm assigning my hero to Obasanjo before declaring it. Before declaring it. So this is possible. because there's something we call hoisting in JavaScript. Hoisting. There's something we call that will take us to another subtopic called hoisting. Hoisting is when any declaration is being moved to the top of the scope. Now, okay, let me just define it like that. When any declaration that hoisting is when declaration is moved to the top of the scope, top of the scope. So this is what we mean by hosting. Now I'm going to explain this. I hope it will also be clear. Now what happens is this: when I say var and euro, now let me explain what we mean by scope. Scope is just the area that you are writing your code. Now if I open my VS, if I open my Replit here now, this is the scope. Line 1 is like this place here is the scope. That's it. We have that two types of scope. We have global scope, function scope, and we have block. We also have block scope. This is a block scope. Now this is a block scope. Suppose I've written a lot of code here. I've written something here. Assuming I've written something in line 4, the top of this scope, this block scope. This is an example of a block scope. This is an example of block scope. Please, can you all hear me? So this is an example of a block scope here. So the top of this box, if the code reached up to line 24 now, the top of this scope is line 3. That's the top of this scope. Now, this is what we mean by block scope. Global scope is just everything inside this your JavaScript without this block. So this is what we mean by this space, all this space here. All this space here is what we mean by global scope. All this space here is meant by global scope. Why this space here is meant by what? Block scope. So I think that's clear. Now, as I was saying before, hosting is what? When declaration is moved to the top of the scope. Now, let me now explain this inside using this place now. Now, for example, now I said before that my car is Toyota. My car here is Toyota now, and I'm saying something like this: var my car. Now, if you look at it, normally it doesn't really make sense because now we are declaring the variable after we have assigned it, which doesn't really make sense. But what happened in JavaScript? There's something called hoisting. This declaration, this var my car, will be moved to the top like this. This is how it works. It will not take it to the top. This is how the computer will interpret it because it's moving into the top. So that's why this code will run. That's why you can see it here that it runs. If I come here now and say my hero now, it's now passing off. That's how it works. Now they're not telling us about what? Let. Let must be what? Must be declared before you use it. If you come here now and you now say my food. Let's say my food here is rice. And I now come here and I said, let my food. If I run this now, let's see what we have. You can see now we are having what? We are having error because when you declare, you must always declare a let variable before you use it. You must always declare a let variable before you use it. So it's only var that you can use without being declared. But you must always declare a let variable before you use it. So that's another difference between and variable defined with let have block scope. Variable defined with let have a block scope. Now I'll try and use this to explain this now. Now let me toggle in the developer stuff here. I don't know, this one's supposed to work. I'm trying to refresh. Let's see. Okay, that's nice. Everyone can hear me. Now, we can't. Why? What's your problem? Why can't you? I can't even. I'm not able to talk this. Let me refresh it for another time, and let's see. So now, okay, now this is working now. Now let's come to our. This is our console now. Now we are talking about block scope. Now there's something we call global scope. As I've explained earlier, we have global scope and we have global scope, and we have also have block scope. What do we mean by block scope? This is what by, like I explained earlier, this is what we call block now. Now it always have block scope. That means let's always have a block scope. Anything inside this place will not be outside. Will not be outside. For example, like I said, sorry, I said let's my car. Let me delete this now. And I said let my car. Let my car equals let's say Toyota. And let me come here now and let me say console.log because we are inside this block. I'm going to say block scope. Then I want to print out my car here. Now outside this block scope, I want to also print it. Let's see if it works. Console.log my car. So let me run this. Let's see what we have. Now we are having issue. In this one, in line 8, here, we are having block scope. But in line 11 here, we are having my car is not defined. That means anything you define inside legs, that's a block scope. It's not being known to the global scope. It doesn't have a global scope. Anything you declare inside legs doesn't have a group. You are not going to know it inside outside that block. Outside this line 6 to line 9 is only when you can know my car. Anything outside this line 6 to line 9, you never know my car because it doesn't have a global scope. So another difference between var and let is that var has a global scope, while let has a block scope. It's only where you define it that it knows. It's only where you define it now. It's similar to this. Let's say that President Buhari is the president of Nigeria. But we can always say arguably that President Biden is the president of the world. So we can just say in another sense that we can see that Biden has a global scope in terms of presidency, while our own president has a block scope that means only related to Nigeria is where it is. That means the territory of Nigeria. It's only where Buhari can say I'm the president. So that's just the similitude. Now, var has a global scope. Anywhere you call var, I always answer it. For example, if I come here and use var, my car equals this now. If I run this again, you can see now, when I run my car here, it's also backward to know that because yeah, because my car always have because var always have a block a global. Okay, sorry for the noise. So because var always have a global scope, so let me write it down. var has a global scope. var has a global scope. For let has a what? Let has a what? A block scope. Because let always mind his business. Only where you call him. Like now, another example is this. If I say let's my number equals, I can never call my number outside this place. I can never call this out. So if I come and say const.log my number, it doesn't know it. It doesn't know it. If you are on your VS Code could have shown you error that if there's nothing like my number here, because it has a what? It has a block scope. You can see now my number is not defined, but it has a block scope. So for you to be able to consider your number, you have to come. What happened? So for you to be able to console log your number, you have to come inside the block for you to be able to console log it. So if I run this now, everything will work fine. Please, are we together? Let me know if we are together. Let me know if we are together. So you can see now, my number now is now 2. So that's the difference. So variable declare with let have the block scope. You can never declare it. I've explained to you. You can see now when if you say s is equal to John Doe, you now say let x equal to 0 to throw error. The only way you can do is you can only remove this let. If you remove this let, everything will be fine. So I think I've explained what we mean by block scoping and what we mean by global scoping. Yes, okay, thank you everyone. So that's meant by what? Now we also have what we call I've explained var and I've explained let. Now we also have const. Now const is not, it doesn't really mean the constant. Yeah, it doesn't mean a const, but it also works, let's say, like a const or a constant. As in, when you assign to a value, you cannot assign it to another value again. That's another difference. The difference between let and const is that when you assign a value, like let's say let my car equals Toyota. But you know, if we use let, we can say my car equals Camry. That works. But you cannot say my car equals Camry for const. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at it. Now let's take a look at the difference between var and let. Messiah Akpan, what do you say I should repeat? Now, when we say because we are not having number here, let me just comment all this out. Can I say I use control / and everything is comment out. So now here I want to say, you know, before we can say let my food equals rice. This usually work. I can come here and say I can't declare it. My food equals this. This will work. So if I say console also don't my food. If I come here and say console of my food here, if I run it now, if I come here, you can see now it's now bringing what? Base. It's now bringing what? Base. Because we can always reassign value. Now let's see if we use const. If we use const, now let's see what happens. If I use const, let's see what happens. It's still loading. You can see now, you can never what? You can never reassign a value. You can never reassign a variable to another value. It's const. You can never do it. So that's why the typical example is suppose now that you want to do let's now a typical example, assuming you want to calculate your score. I say let my score, my initial score should be 0. Then you can now say that after maybe you have seen your other score, you can now say that my score will not be equal to what? My score plus 5. Now, if you now consider log my score now, you now consider Okay, sorry about that. I believe you can hear me now. So now, because I'm using let my score equals to 0. This is my initial score. Then I now later say that what my score should be my score plus 5. So now, if I console.log my score now, let's see what we have now. So if you need to reassign something, if you need to reuse something again, we are going to be using let. And if you see a lot of code base now, there's nothing like what? There's nothing like, you will not see var, you've seen let and const. Let can do the work of var efficiently, because the problem with var is this. Now, the problem with var is this. Suppose now that, suppose now I said, let my score equals to 0 here. Now, suppose I now use, suppose now I say var my score. Okay, now let me just take this now. Let me cut it and paste it here. Now, let me say var my score here. I'm saying var, sorry. My score here is 5. Now, inside this block here, maybe inside this block here, I said my score equals to my score plus 5. No. Okay, now I now come here again and say var, that's not what I want to make. And I come here and say let my score equals 30. Who can tell me who can tell me what would be my score if I run this code? Please, someone should comment in the chat box. What would be my score here? From the example, going to be 30, is it going to be 0? Is it going to be 35? Someone should tell me what my score is going to be. I'm expecting a response from the chat. What would be my score with this explanation? So, okay, now, yeah, that's fine. My score would be what? My score would be 30 because it doesn't know, my score would be 0 because it doesn't know what is here. This is the one that will be here. So now this one is what we mean by is now polluting the scope. Suppose it's now that this is what I wanted to give the person now. But because I've used let here, it doesn't have an outside scope. So definitely it's going to be 0. So if I run this now, our answer will go to 0. So our answer here will be 0 because let as a what? As a block scope. So now if I want to make this one to be 30, if I want the score to be 30, I can just come here and say, because it is var, you can always declare a variable use with var. I can come here and say var my score equals to 30. So with that now, if I run it now, my score will now be 30 instead of the 0. Okay, thank you everyone. So yeah, you can see that my score is now 30 because var has what? var doesn't have any restriction. So var has what we call it pollutes the global space. It pollutes global space. Now, because if I also console log here also inside this block scope here, I console log my score is our score is also 0 there. So, but that's at times that's not what we are working through. So that will always give us an issue. Now, taking us back, we say our const, you can never assign, once you have declared, you can never assign it again. And there's something I want to, you say, when do we use const? Usually when you want to declare an array, when you declare an object, when you want to declare a function, we are going to talk about it. Now, there's one important thing I want you to grab from this statement here. The keyword const is a what? Is a little misleading. It does not mean it does not define a what? A constant value. It defines a what? A constant reference to a value. where that thing is being stored, it is what? It is only that place. That means it's referencing that place and it cannot reference to another place again. If I have stored it to be const pi should be 3.142, where that thing is being stored, the reference is being making to that place, it can never be changed again. It can never be changed again, because if you are using an object, your object, you can always change the value in it, but you cannot redeclare it with const. We'll get that when we are working on object and an array. So now, because of this, you cannot reassign a constant value. So when you say const pi equals 3.142, you cannot say const pi equals 3 again. You cannot say pi equals 3 again. It's not, all these things are not possible. But you can always change the element of the constant array, because they are making a reference here. You can change the elements of an array. For example, now, well, let's talk about it a little bit, because after that, I want to talk about different data type. But I think I can jump into that. We have different type of data type. As we all know, we have in our own number, we have in our own way of talking, we have number, apart from number, we have letters, we have alphanumeric. All these things are what we have. In JavaScript too, we have different type of data. The first one I'll talk before I'll come here, I'll still come back here now. But the first one let me just jump to the data type we have, so that it won't be too cumbersome. We have number, we have string. Now, what is number? Number are just all what we know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is to any number. So I can come here, that means, when we are assigning our variable, we assign it to data type. So I can say for example, here I say const x is 5. This is 45. Now, if I want to get the type of what is data type, the data type of this x, I can come here and say type of, this is a built-in method in JavaScript. Type of x, you can see now it's telling me what is number. Who can tell me if I run type of x? Don't let me write it. What is going to give me type of x? What will be the answer? Who can tell me the answer that if I run type of x, what will be the response I'm going to have? So if I someone should help me out. That's one thing about JavaScript. It's at times it depends. But who can tell me type of x? What will be the answer we are going to get? Somebody said number or undefined. Okay. A string, someone says, totally, you don't know. Some people are saying undefined string. Now, okay, because we have less time, now let me try it. Type of x. We are having a string. How do we come to that? Now, let's see. When I first run type of x, what do you bring out? Number. You look at how the number comes. It's coming out as a string. Now, that one will lead us to what is the string? Inside double comma or it's made by string. Anything inside this double as a form of what? String. So now if I say Okay, I have a bit network issue. I hope you can hear me. I'll be sharing my screen. Okay, now, yeah, I believe my voice will be back now. So now we are talking about type of, so the first thing the computer compiler runs is type of X. The type of X here is what is the number. Then it will now run the second type of, like if I now say copy this, and I come and say type of number. That type of number I've copied, you can see now is going to be string. So that's what that's that. We have a lot of funny things like that seen as a question in JavaScript. So I hope this is clear about that. Now let me so we know that we have type of we have object type of string, and we have object type of number. Another one we have data type. Sorry, not object type. Data type. Now another type of data is what we call objects. Object. There are different ways of creating objects, which we are not going to be diving into today. But in objects is when you use the call basis. That thing we said that means that block scope, that symbol for block scope is run by objects. So now, for example, if I come here, let's my objects. So I declare my object. That's my object equals this is my object now. We are going to be using this call basis, this open and close. This open and close is the object. Now, how do you work with object? Object has key and a value. That's how you are going to access it. For example, now I can say if this is my key, OLP, then this is how we are going to use equal to 1. I can come here and say CWO equals to 2. So if I want to access this value now, I can access this with that key. 3 here should be 3. Now, if I run this now, so now I have object. If I now say my object now, if I say my objects, you can see now it's bringing them 1. It's bringing them like this: 1, 3, 2. Why is it 1? I say 1, 2, 3. Why is it not? Is it even if it's alphabetical order? Well, to be honest, I don't know why it's thinking 2 before 3. So anyone who uses it should make a comment in the chat box. Why is 3 coming before 2? So anyway, as we are saying now, so for us to, if you want to access this object now, the way we are going to access it is with their key. Now, let me say my object now. When I say my object dot, we are saying this is our key 1, this one our key dot 1. Consider is giving me 1. When I say my object dot 2, consider is giving me 2. If I say my object dot 3 now, it's giving me 3. Sorry. If I say my object dot 3 is now giving me, it's giving me 3. So this is how we are going to, this is how we usually access objects in this is how we usually access data in an object. Any value you want to access inside an object, this is how you are going to access them by using their key. So now, so that's that now. Now that will take us back to where we were before. We were in const now. We were trying to talk about how you can already declare a variable with const. But when you are in objects, you can change the value. Now, for example, now I want this my object dot 1 should be 1 million. No, Aniaka is not an error. Yeah, it can be. Normal way is that you can always put them as a key. A key as a variable. Sorry, you can always put a key as a string. There's no issue with that. Now we'll come to that. If you have an array inside, for example, now what we are now saying, I'll come back to your question now. Now, when I now say, if I want to change my object dot one to be equal to 1 million, I can come back. What I will do is this: my object dot one equals to 1 million. Equals to 1 million. Set that answer to numeric value where. Oh, sorry. My object dot one is not that type of one. My object dot one 1 should be equals to, instead of it to be 1, I want it to be 1 million. Now this one work. Now if I go to my object now, if I console log my object again now, you can see now it's no longer 1, but it's 1 million. But don't forget that we say when we use const, we cannot declare it, but in a variable, you can always change the value by using the key. For example, now look at the one they say const car equals the type is fiat, model is 500, and color is white. Now, if you want to change this property of this color now, you will now say car dot color is red, then car dot owner is Johnson. Then it is going to change it, and you can also add to it. For example, now if I come back here now, I only have one, two, three. If I say my object dot 60, my object dot 60 should be 800. Now, if I console my objects now, that one also part of it. You can see now 60 is now part of it. So you can add, you can subtract. But I cannot come here when I say const my object, my let me say my object should be this. I cannot come back. If I press enter here, I cannot come back here and say my obj should be something like this again. It's going to give me error. You cannot redeclare it because what? Because you cannot assign it again because it is what? It is a const. You cannot assign, and you can never redeclare an object when you use, or a data type when you have used const. You can never redeclare it. Now, I will if you can add an array to an object, you can add an array to it. Let me say my object dot 20 should be an array of, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4. This will also work. Now, if I console log my object now, you can see now my object is having, you can see now 20, on line 20, we are having an array, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I hope that is clear. Esther, what if the object happens to be in an array nested? Can one still access it? Yes. Now, if I want to access this one, I can now say, I can say my object dot 20, my object dot 20. Yeah, as you can see now, it's what? It's 1, 2, 3, 4. How we are going to access and the item in an array is through their index, and it starts from 0. Array use index. So if I come here and say my object dot 20 at, let me say at 2, you can see now 0, 1, 2. It's starting from this 0, 1, 2 at 2 years 3. So this is how you can access it. I believe I'm sharing my screen. Yes, I believe I'm sharing my screen. So please, is there anything? Okay, yeah, thank you for answering this question, but I'll also explain now. So now, just like I've talked about that, you can always check these documents now. So I hope that is clear. We're able to talk about, we have 2 minutes left. We're able to talk about value and cost, how we can use it, where and when we can use it. So I will also talk about we also talk about data type. We have talked about objects, we have talked about string, we have talked about object, string, array, number. We also have Boolean. Boolean can only be true or false. Boolean can be what? True or false. Then, like for example, Boolean is true and the other one is false. So let me see an example here. You can see Boolean can only have two values, can always be true or false. For example, now, if I say let x equals to 1, okay, because I have it before, let's say let x equals to 1. I come and let xy equals to 1. Now, if I now said is xx equals to xy, that means telling me it's true. That's Boolean, because I'm coercing this to Boolean. I'm asking, like, are they true? I can also use double command, double, how to call it, triple equal sign, if you are going to, yes, you can always modify the object in an, you can always modify the content of an object by using their key. You can always modify it, but you cannot reassign and you cannot redeclare it if you are using const. I hope that is clear, and I hope that has gone we have gone a long way about it. Please, as much as possible to read about just watch. Yes, that's not yes. So try and read as if you put that one, I think you're supposed to be yes, that one will give you false. If you say something like this, it's going to give you false. Sorry. It's going to SS, it's going to give you false. Yes. What if you say not XY? What would this one give us? It's true. Not to cancel, not share. So this means not. Yes, thank you. This one is not. It means not. It means not. And you can always convert something to a Boolean also. You can always convert. Okay, I will explain that in our subsequent classes. So it's already time for break. It's already time there. So this 1 o'clock. So our next class we talk about function, and we'll talk in depth about function and object, and we'll talk about different methods we can use on an object and a function. Yeah, we'll talk about the splits also, since we compare the data type and the value, compare the data type and value. 5 is, if you look at it, someone that is asking 5 here is equals to 5. Because this one, you always consider the value, yes. But if I say 5 here, because the data type of this 5 here is number, the data type of this one here is what? Is string. But this one, because it's only comparing the value, so we are having true. But if I say 5 is equal to this, you can see it's giving me false because the data type of this one is number, while the data type of this one is string. So because these 3 equality sign, always also consider data type. So it's going to be just false. I'm going to talk in depth about this. We are going to talk about it in depth in our next class. I think I'm having it tomorrow after next one. I hope that is fine and we are able to go a long way. So thank you all for joining the class, and thank you for having the patient because the class was earlier at 10, and I have to move it to this time. Thank you all for joining. If you don't have any question, tomorrow by God's grace we'll be seeing. So thank you all. See you tomorrow. Bye.